Have you ever noticed that the more desperately you chase after the things your soul craves, peace, clarity, purpose, the further they seem to drift from your grasp? It's almost as if the harder you run, the faster these desires transform into fleeting shadows, dissolving into mist just when you think you're close enough to catch them. And yet, this isn't life punishing you. It's not the universe withholding blessings from you as some cruel game. It's a sacred message, one that most of us are too busy, too frantic, too caught in the noise of our minds to hear. The universe is whispering to you, slow down, stop chasing. The harder you grip, the more you block what's trying to flow into your life. Because in your hyper-focus on the destination, you've become blind to the beauty of the path unfolding beneath your feet. In the noise of your striving, you drown out the very guidance you seek. Every sunrise, every small coincidence, every gentle nudge of intuition, these are the breadcrumbs the universe scatters along your journey, trying to guide you home. But when your mind is a hurricane of anxiety, planning, and control, these signs cannot reach you. If this truth stirs something deep inside you, if you felt that relentless ache of always searching but never arriving, know that you're not alone. This is not failure, this is the signal of awakening. Type "I resonate" in the comments if this feels like a message written just for you. Let yourself be seen. Like this message, subscribe, and stay close, because this is the beginning of a new way of moving through life, not through force, but through flow, not through chasing, but through allowing. The universe does not operate on the frequency of desperation or urgency. It moves in whispers, in synchronicities, in the language of stillness. The answers you've been chasing through endless thoughts, relentless self-analysis, and exhausting effort don't come crashing in with the sound of thunder. They arrive gently, in the spaces between your thoughts, in the quiet between your breaths, in the moments when you simply are. But how often do we miss this? We've been taught that if we aren't moving, we're falling behind. That if we aren't constantly thinking, planning, fixing, then we're failing. So we live with our minds on high alert, our hearts clenched in anticipation, overanalyzing every feeling, every sign, as if the universe is a puzzle to solve with sheer effort. But in doing so, we stir the waters of our soul into a murky chaos, obscuring the very clarity we crave. This state of frantic searching broadcasts a frequency of resistance. It tells the universe, I don't trust. I don't believe I'll receive unless I fight for it. But life doesn't respond to force, it responds to frequency. Imagine trying to catch a delicate feather floating down from the sky. If you thrash and lunge, you'll only send it further away. But if you simply open your palm and stand still, it lands effortlessly in your hand. This is the energy the universe responds, not the grasping, but the readiness to receive. Picture your mind like a crystal clear lake. When you are still, the surface is calm and reflective. You can see all the way to the bottom where your deepest truths, your soul's guidance, your next steps are waiting like shimmering jewels. But when you're frantic, when your thoughts churn with urgency and your emotions whip like wind across the water, the surface clouds, the mud is stirred, the clarity vanishes. Not because the answers are gone, but because your own energy has made them invisible. The clarity, the peace, the purpose, they were always there. They never left you. But they can only reveal themselves when you become still enough to see them. This is the sacred power of surrender, not a passive resignation, but an active choice to release the death grip of control and allow life to reveal itself to you. When you withdraw your frantic efforts, when you stop trying to force your way to enlightenment, when you allow the waters of your being to settle, you'll finally see that everything you were seeking was within you all along. The universe was never testing you, it was simply waiting for you to remember how to be. And in that space, where the mind is quiet and the heart is open, the guidance flows, the peace finds you, the answers arrive. And you, at last, remember how it feels to receive no by chasing, but by simply becoming the space where all that is meant for you can land. So, the next time you feel that familiar pang of being lost, that desperate ache for answers, I want you to consider doing something truly radical. Something that goes against every instinct your conditioned mind will scream at you to do. I want you to stop. Just stop. Stop trying so hard. Stop the relentless pursuit. Let go of the need to have it all figured out right this instant. And understand this crucial distinction. Letting go is not the same as giving up. Giving up is an act of despair, a declaration of defeat that comes from a place of powerlessness. Letting go, however, is an act of profound power and wisdom. It is a conscious, deliberate choice to release your white-knuckled grip on the outcome. It is a declaration of trust in a divine timing that is far more intelligent than your own anxious schedule. When you let go, you are not collapsing in failure. You are expanding in faith. You are finally, after so much struggle, creating the sacred space necessary for the answers to emerge. You are opening a doorway that was previously bolted shut by your own tension, and it is in that moment of surrender, in that sacred pause, that the magic happens. That is when the very thing you had been searching for, the clarity, the peace, the next step, quietly and gracefully walks in through a side door you never even noticed was there. It is as if it had been waiting patiently just outside, listening for the frantic noise inside of you to subside. It was waiting for you to calm your inner storm, to quiet the racing thoughts, and to simply open your eyes to what was already present. This is the divine twist that so few understand. We believe our effort is what brings the reward, but in the spiritual realm, it is often our surrender that unlocks the gates of grace. The universe isn't waiting for you to prove your worth through struggle. It's waiting for you to become still enough to receive its boundless gifts. Have you ever experienced this phenomenon in your everyday life? Think about a time you were obsessively checking your phone for an important message. You pick it up every 30 seconds, you refresh your inbox, you stare at the screen, your entire energy focused on this one expected outcome. And what happens? The message never seems to arrive. The minutes stretch into an eternity of anxious waiting. But then, the moment you finally surrender, the moment you put the phone down, forget about it, and immerse yourself in another activity, what happens? Ding. There it is. The message arrives, seemingly out of nowhere, the very second you stopped fixating on it. Now, is this just a coincidence, or is it a perfect, miniature demonstration of a profound universal law at work? I propose to you that this is not coincidence at all. This is a lesson in energy. This is a clear example of what happens when you shift your vibrational frequency. When you are obsessing, you are vibrating at the frequency of desperation, of lack, of neediness. This is a constricted, repulsive energy. You are energetically pushing away the very thing you desire. But the moment you let go, the moment you align with the present moment and find peace or engagement in what is right in front of you, your energy shifts. You begin to vibrate at a frequency of presence, of trust, of openness. This is an expansive, magnetic energy. And in that state of alignment, you become a vibrational match for the outcome you desire, and it flows to you with ease. Life, in its entirety, responds to this same principle. It does not respond to your attempts to control it, to manipulate it, or to force it into a shape that pleases your ego. Life responds to connection. It responds to your willingness to be in a harmonious dance with it. And a true connection, a true dance, can never happen when you are trying to lead with force, when you are trying to bend every circumstance and every person to your will. Whether we are talking about relationships, career goals, or receiving divine guidance from something bigger than ourselves, the principle remains the same. The answers, the opportunities, the love you seek will not come through brute effort. They will come through the grace of stillness. They will emerge from a state of release. They will find you when you stop trying to find them. There is a hidden truth, a subtle twist in this journey that very few spiritual teachers will tell you. Sometimes, the harder you look for the light, the more entrenched in the darkness you become. The more desperately you search for clarity, the more profoundly blind you become to the truth that is all around you. Why is this? Because when your entire being becomes locked into the desperate need for an answer right now, a fundamental shift happens within you. You stop listening. You stop trusting. Your inner senses, which are designed to perceive the subtle flow of divine guidance, become completely numb. You go deaf to everything except the pounding drum of your own panic. It is a self-created prison of urgency, where the only reality is the perceived lack of an answer. In this state, you are no longer a receptive vessel. You are a closed circuit, endlessly looping the energy of fear and frustration. We, as human beings, often overlook the stunningly obvious because we have become addicted to the thrill of the chase. We have been taught to believe that anything of value must be hard-won, that struggle is a prerequisite for worthiness. We believe that the solution to our problems must be complex, hidden somewhere far away, down a long and complicated path that requires immense effort to traverse. We confuse frantic movement with genuine progress. But more often than not, the solution is right here. It is breathing with you in this very moment. It is quietly, patiently, waiting for you to stop the chase and simply be. The real work is not to do more, but to be more. You don't need to add another task to your to-do list, read another book, or attend another seminar. What you need is to feel more. You need to be fully present in the room of your life, not just trapped in the chaotic attic of your head. The moment you stop looking so hard, the moment you release the tension of the search, you will have a startling realization. The signs were always there. The guidance was always present. The next step was always clear, but you were too busy scanning the distant horizon to see the path that was already illuminated at your feet. This brings us to a beautiful and profound irony of the spiritual path. We are conditioned to believe that clarity comes from doing more, from pushing harder, from chasing faster. We treat our spiritual growth like a race, believing that the one who hustles the most will be the first to cross the finish line of enlightenment. But the universe doesn't operate like that. The moment you consciously choose to step back, the moment you give yourself permission to pause, things begin to make sense in a way that frantic effort could never, ever achieve. Because what you are truly chasing is not actually out there in the external world. It's not the job, the relationship, or the accomplishment itself. It is the feeling that you believe those things will give you. It is the deep, soul-level craving for safety, for fulfillment, for that unspeakable peace that quiets the anxious mind. And here is the secret. Those feelings do not and cannot arrive through an energy of tension. They are born from an energy of trust. They blossom in a heart that has surrendered. They arise naturally from a soul that is at rest. So, let's take a step back and be truly honest with ourselves. How often do we confuse the act of chasing with the act of living? We fill our days with movement, with noise, with endless tasks, and we call it progress. But is it? Or is it a sophisticated form of avoidance? We are constantly adjusting our goals, tweaking our plans, watching endless streams of self-help content, consuming information as if knowledge alone will save us. And yet, deep inside, in the quietest moments of the night, we feel exactly the same. We still feel that sense of lack, that subtle hum of dissatisfaction. That is because the chase itself has become a distraction. It has become a self-perpetuating loop, a clever strategy our ego uses to avoid the profound discomfort of simply being with what is. The constant striving keeps us from having to face our fears, our uncertainties, our own inner emptiness. We use the noise of the chase to drown out the silence where our true self resides. But within this pattern lies the key to your liberation. Here is the powerful truth that most people miss, and it will change everything for you if you allow it to sink in. The universe, source energy, the divine, whatever name you choose, for it does not reward control. It has no interest in your meticulously crafted 5-year plans if they are born from fear. It doesn't respond to your attempts to manipulate outcomes. The universe responds to surrender. But let's be very clear about what this means. This is not a passive, defeated kind of surrender. This is not giving up and resigning yourself to a life you don't want. This is a bold, courageous, and deeply empowered surrender. It is the kind of surrender where you stand tall and declare to the cosmos, I have done my part. I have planted the seeds with intention and love, and now I release my need to control the harvest. I trust in a wisdom far greater than my own. Do you feel the power in that? That is not weakness. That is the highest form of spiritual wisdom. Because in that moment, you finally and truly realize that life is not something you have to wrestle into submission. It is not an adversary to be conquered. Life is a divine partner, an energy to dance with. And when you are in that space, that beautiful, sacred space where you stop grasping, something absolutely magical begins to happen. You start to notice the subtleties you were once too busy to see. You'll notice the person who's been trying to connect with you, but you were too preoccupied to see their open heart. You'll see the opportunity that has been knocking on your door, but you were too busy trying to build a new door somewhere else. You'll hear the whisper of the creative idea that won't leave you alone, the one your soul has been trying to birth through you. These things were never hiding from you. They were always there, waiting for you to slow down enough, to become quiet enough, to finally perceive them. Think of it again like that muddy water. When you are frantically stirring it, it remains murky and chaotic. But the moment you allow it to settle, the clarity naturally returns. That is your mind. That is your life. And when you stop chasing, everything doesn't fall apart as your fear would have you believe. On the contrary, it all starts to align in ways you could never have orchestrated, even if you tried. It is as if the universe has been holding its breath, waiting for you to get out of your own way so it can finally rush in with its blessings. And here is where it becomes even more real, even more transformative. This act of chasing doesn't just block your clarity, Over time, it fundamentally changes you. Slowly, quietly, without you even noticing, it transforms your beautiful, natural presence into a state of constant pressure. You stop truly listening to others because you are too busy formulating your next move. You stop noticing the beauty around you because your eyes are fixated on a future goal. You begin to see people and life itself as puzzles to be solved or obstacles to be overcome, instead of sacred experiences to be felt and cherished. Every interaction, every moment becomes merely a means to an end. And in this transaction-based reality, you lose the now entirely. You walk into a conversation already calculating the outcome. You set goals not because they genuinely light up your soul with passion, but because you are terrified of the emptiness of standing still. You post your achievements on social media, craving the validation of others to feel a fleeting sense of worth. You tell yourself and everyone else that you are being proactive, that you are a go-getter, but deep down, in the core of your being, you are simply scared. You are scared that if you stop chasing, everything you've built will crumble. You are afraid that without your constant effort, you are nothing. But the truth, the beautiful, liberating truth, is that it doesn't fall apart when you stop chasing. It falls into place. You begin to remember what it feels like to move with intuition, not with anxiety. You learn to listen to the deep, quiet wisdom within your own heart. You learn to wait with a sense of peaceful anticipation, not with a sense of gnawing panic. This doesn't mean you become passive or stop showing up in your life. It means you stop trying to force a future that isn't even ready for you yet. And when you stop chasing, you create a vacuum of peace and the universe rushes in to fill it. You start receiving. You will look back and be astonished at how many beautiful things, people, and opportunities were trying to come into your life all along. But your hands were too full of your own plans, your mind was too loud with your own fears, and your heart was too anxious with your own timelines to receive them. The moment you let go, life can finally breathe a sigh of relief and begin to deliver its gifts. Your energy softens, it becomes open, receptive, and profoundly magnetic. People will feel this shift in you. They will be drawn to your calm, your centeredness, your quiet confidence. You will become magnetic, not because you are trying to be, but precisely because you have stopped trying so damn hard. The people who live in this state of flow are not just lucky. They have mastered the sacred discipline of letting go. They have trained themselves, moment by moment, to trust something bigger than their own fear. That is the muscle you are building right now. Not just a mindset shift, but an entirely new way of being. A way of being where the chase is no longer your identity. A way of being where peace becomes your compass, and clarity, like a loyal friend, follows right behind. And then, something truly strange and wonderful begins to happen. Once you drop the chase, silence no longer scares you, it becomes your sanctuary. Stillness no longer feels like failure, it feels like immense power. You begin to realize just how heavy your life used to be, not because it was full of substance, but because it was full of frantic, unnecessary energy. All that noise in your mind, all those internal negotiations. If I just do this, then maybe that will happen. All the bargaining, the self-judgment, the constant, gnawing fear of not being enough, unless some external validation arrives to prove otherwise, it all just dissolves. And now, a profound shift occurs. You start walking slower, not because you are lazy, but because you are finally present. You can hear yourself think again. You can feel your own heart's desires again. You stop arguing with reality. Stop trying to force things that are not meant for you. You don't beg for clarity from people who are incapable of giving it. You are no longer addicted to the drug of urgency. And the world will notice. The people around you will feel something different in your energy. You will not be louder, but you will be more resonant. You will not be pushy, but you will be anchored. You are not trying to impress anyone. You are not trying to win any race. You are simply, profoundly being. And that kind of energy is rare. It is powerful. It is unforgettable. Because when you are no longer chasing anything, a paradox unfolds. People and opportunities start chasing you. They feel the freedom in your presence. They see you holding your space, calmly and confidently, and they want to know what shifted. They want to feel what you feel, but you won't need to convince them. You won't need to explain. Your state of being will say everything. This is how life truly starts showing up for you, not in chaotic, dramatic explosions, but in quiet, perfectly aligned moments that were waiting for you to be ready, not the other way around. You are not here to exhaust yourself into finding meaning. You are here to remember that your worth never lived in the chase to begin with. It never did. And as you stop chasing, you will begin to see with crystal clarity what was really keeping you stuck all along. Your own resistance to what is. It was never the lack of opportunities. It was never the people who didn't choose you. It was never the wrong timing. It was that inner grip, that part of you that believed if you didn't force life to happen, nothing good would ever come. It was that quiet panic underneath your skin that whispered, "If I stop, I will lose everything." But the ultimate truth is the exact opposite. When you stop forcing, you are not giving up control. You are reclaiming your trust in the flow of life itself. You start to see how life is built on alignment, not on effort. You begin to recognize that the most powerful and magical things that will ever happen to you in your life didn't come because you squeezed harder. They came because you stopped resisting, because you finally stepped out of your own way. Think about it. The most unexpected friendships, the opportunities that changed everything, they didn't arrive on your meticulously planned schedule, did they? They showed up when you stopped obsessing, when you let go, even if just for a moment. And that is the shift most people never make. They wait for certainty before they allow themselves to relax. They wait for proof before they allow themselves to believe. But that is not how the universe works. Life doesn't respond to control, it responds to presence. And when you become truly present, something within you opens. You notice new possibilities because you are no longer blinded by the tunnel vision of your own fear. You start seeing doors where before you only saw walls. You stop asking, "How do I make this happen?" And you start asking, "What is trying to happen through me?" That one question changes everything, because suddenly you are not the one pulling all the strings. You are co-creating, you are listening, you are flowing with life, not against it. And that subtle shift is where your true freedom begins. You start to realize that the thing you were chasing was never even the thing you truly wanted. It was the feeling you believed it would bring. You didn't just want the job, you wanted the feeling of security. You didn't just want the relationship, you wanted the feeling of love, of peace, of being seen and safe. But chasing the outer form of something can blind you to its inner essence. And that's where most of us get lost. We run after outcomes instead of grounding ourselves in the state of being that we believe those outcomes will provide. And here is the secret that no one ever tells you. That feeling you are craving, that peace, that fulfillment, that sense of wholeness is already available to you. It is not locked away inside some future event. It is here, right now, hidden underneath all the noise you have been carrying. The moment you stop running, you can finally feel it. The calm, the space, the quiet, profound knowing that nothing outside of you has to change for you to feel whole. When you stop chasing, you begin reconnecting with yourself, with what you forgot mattered, with the part of you that doesn't need fixing or hustling or proving, only remembering. And from that place, you stop acting out of desperation and you start acting from a place of deep clarity. You make different choices, you speak with a different tone. You walk into a room with a different energy, not an energy of lack, but an energy of profound depth. And people feel it, because presence is magnetic. A person who no longer needs anything from the world holds a different kind of power. They don't demand attention, they draw it. Not because they are loud, but because they are real. There is no pretense, no grasping, just a grounded energy that moves slower but lands deeper. And the world, strangely and beautifully, begins to rearrange itself around that. You stop pushing, and things, conversations, people, chances, synchronicities start finding you. That's not a miracle, that is alignment. And here is the twist no one expects. When you finally stop trying so hard to get it all right, life quietly begins to do the work for you. Not in a magical fairy tale kind of way, but in the small, subtle alignments. The way a conversation pops up out of nowhere, that gives you clarity. The way you're led to a book, a video, a moment of silence that shifts everything. The resistance starts to melt, and what's left is space. Space to feel again. Space to see what's been waiting for you quietly in the background. The things that were meant for you all along but couldn't reach you while you were busy forcing doors open that weren't yours to walk through. Let go of needing it to happen now. Let go of needing to know how. Let go of the lie that more effort, more control, more overthinking will finally make it click. Because the truth is, life only starts flowing when you stop fighting it, when you allow it to meet you in the stillness, not the chaos. So if this spoke to something real inside you, don't let it just pass by. Let it sit. Let it move through you. And then drop a comment below with the word alignment. So I know you're one of the few who felt this, not just heard it, but actually felt it in your soul. And if this helped you pause for even a moment, share it with someone who's been holding on too tightly. You never know whose life it might shift, because sometimes all it takes is one simple reminder to finally let go.